right, it says I am live here. Let's see if this one actually works or if I'm gonna have issues again like before. It's really frustrating that when that happens that they cut the internet was still on, but somehow they like cut the cut my ability to upload or stream or something. I'm not really sure. So anyways. Da, 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 we're back. Just gonna try to post this out. Anyways, hi Kyle. Kyle says take two and scene. Woo! Okay. Kind of got cut off with my conversation, which is exactly what they want. When we have different, we live in a reality where dark entities, demons, if you will, are constantly messing with us and trying to make things go wrong and trying to upset us, frustrate us, do anything that they can to feed off of that energy and laugh at us and just essentially entertain themselves at our own cost, right? It's actually one of their justifications for even continuing existence. They only exist to torture us. It's kind of pitiful, like those souls that refuse to go out of existence just because they want to stay and be your enemy. It's like, wow, you are so pathetic. You don't even have any real soul purpose but to just exist to defy me. Like, that's pitiful. But alas, there are some souls out there that are like that. So that is the world that we're living in. And, you know, there's a lot of truthers that are caught up in the anarchy type psyop, and they think that, I think also that humans are generally speaking good. When a baby comes out, they are perfect. They aren't negative in any way, but then their parents teach them to do evil things. Society teaches them to do evil things. Then they become animal eaters. Then they become, whatever else they become. But when they start off, they're not demon possessed and blood bacon, like their parents have to give them the bacon to possess them with the bacon demon to make them evil, Um, so yeah. Anyways, anarchists, want to try to focus on the positive side of humanity. I wonder how many of them are vegan, because if you're vegan, you know full well that anarchy isn't going to result in a golden age, because anarchy is even more of bacon. No one's going to tell them what to do because they live in freedom. The only way that we actually can get to a golden age is when there are laws in place and there are consequences for breaking those laws. I don't agree with stupid laws, but I do agree with laws that defend the innocent, that protect them and their right to live. Humans aren't the only ones that want to be free, that want to live, that don't want to be eaten. And in order to get to an actual golden age, we have to have rules in place. Anarchy is not going to work. And that's just when we're talking about the human population. That's just like, try to get people to go vegan, and you will see how what I'm saying is true. That having an anarchy free for all is not going to result in a golden age where innocents are protected. So yeah, like I was saying, that's only even talking about the human population, not dealing with the fact that we're on a human farm. We're being farmed, and there are other species under the dome that, rightly so. You want to complain about being farmed while you farm every other species? Like, you know what you deserve? Like, humans, what we deserve, just for the CAFOs alone that you see driving up I-5, it's like, you want to complain about concentration camps and stuff for humans while you fund that for cows? We actually get off very easily compared to what we deserve. Just saying that as a righteous judge, the amount of evil that humans have done to animals, like, don't complain about your 9 to 5 because it's nothing compared to what you force animals through. Okay. Amarjeet says, what is the difference between vegetarian or vegan? I learned by you. Yeah, it's interesting how these words, in different places kind of mean different things, and how, how confusing it can be sometimes with vegetarian, vegan, plant-based, all of these different things. But the bottom line really is that vegans, we try to do everything that we can. It's not just about food. Like, we don't wear leather. We don't we don't buy soaps and stuff with animal products in it. We try to make sure that everything that we're doing, isn't directly causing animal suffering, which in this world, it's like almost impossible to avoid. Your computer has glues or something that maybe not be vegan. You might have a car that doesn't have all vegan components. So there's only so much that we can do to avoid it, and we do try to avoid it. And one of the things that's really frustrating, it's like you go up to someone and say, please stop funding the kidnap, rape, and murder of cows for your sandwich. And they're like, unless you are perfect and you don't drive a car and you don't do this and you don't do that and you don't do this and you don't even breathe because you don't want to kill a bug, then don't tell me to stop eating cows. It's like, oh my gosh, non-vegans are so morally bankrupt and honestly idiots. They're like, why would you want to eat something that is made like a burger if you're vegan? It's like, maybe if you actually used this thing in here, you'd understand that we're vegan because we don't want to kill animals, not because we don't like the taste of these products. Just so stupid. And then trying to compare plants and animals as if eating an apple is the same as eating a cow. Their brains don't function properly. David D says, vegan is a life choice, not just a diet. Exactly. David says, unless you are perfect, don't stop me doing absolute evil. Exactly. It's so frustrating. Yeah. So that is one of the many reasons that if you're not vegan, you shouldn't even be looking at me. I don't want your evil eyes looking in my direction. Definitely don't be fantasizing about me, because I would puke on you. You are disgusting to me. I value compassion and intelligence over anything else, pretty much. Looks are very far down the importance ladder to me, if you will. Looks are here today, gone tomorrow. They will fade, but what's inside is what matters. The heart is what matters, and I want a vegan man. I will not settle for anything less. So yeah. Anyways, someone that was my friend, and they actually called me their queen. They're like, oh, my queen this, my queen that. And then they said, oh, you don't have to be vegan to recognize beauty. And I'm like, well, you do have to be vegan to be even thinking that you have a chance with me, because otherwise you make me want to vomit. And I mean, I didn't actually say that much. I said that non-vegans shouldn't fantasize about me or even look at me because they don't have a chance with me. And then he's like, okay, I'll unfriend you. Why would you even call me your queen if you don't do the things that I teach, that I like? If I am the queen of a domain, it is a vegan domain by my force. If you go after the animals, you have to deal with me, because I am a protector of those animals. So don't be calling me your queen if you don't live in this way. Doesn't make any sense. Kyle says, it's so annoying too, because there's so many vegan options popping up everywhere. That was really bizarre. Yeah, not only are there all these vegan options that are available at the store, but you can look up any option, any meal that you like, and find a vegan recipe to make it better. People are like, oh, we don't want to buy the store-made chemical stuff. It's like, So wait, let's just back up for 1 second, because you don't want the plants that may or may not have chemicals, but you're okay with the flesh that was raised on hormones, that is injected with different chemicals to keep it that color from rotting on the shelves. Like, there's just so much inconsistency in them pretending like they are like about health, because they're not. You don't eat dead things and then say, oh, I'm focused on my health. David D says the heart, the soul within is what matters. Exactly. Yep. Queen forces veganism. Yeah, and isn't that really annoying too? Especially at this point in time when I actually don't have the ability to force you to be vegan. If I could, if I was able to, I would. But me typing on the computer, please stop killing animals, isn't forcing my way of life on you. On the other hand, you forcing cows into an enclosed area, you raping them pregnant so that you can steal their milk and eat their child, that is forcing your way of life onto others. I know that the vegans get it, but it seems like animal eaters just really are some of the dumbest people I've ever interacted with, honestly. I don't even want to say, oh, you sound vaccinated. I want to say, you sound like you eat animals, because anyways. David D says people think vegans eat literal grass. Well, I do think that I always want to say, vegans don't eat grass, but I think that, people do like wheatgrass shots. And then there are also like, I guess sprouts aren't exactly grass, but there are some things in this area that vegans do eat. So it's kind of like, I don't eat grass though, but I would eat grass before I ate a cow. Anyways. People think vegans eat literal grass, not vegan cheeseburgers, pizza, etc. Grass? Exactly. Non-vegans are so evil and don't want to acknowledge it. Exactly. Kyle says meatheads can't connect the dots. Yeah. I'm not really... It's probably a mixture of the fluoride, the social programming, the deliberate dumbing down, and also the demons that are inside. I've talked before about how essentially demons can integrate themselves with us. They can get pleasures from things that we get pleasures from. So they want to, come along and whisper in our ear, oh, look at that steak. That might look good. Or, oh, look at this pornography, or any of these things that they want us to do. And then they actually are able to experience and live vicariously through us. In participating in these activities. And people will be like, oh, I just listen to my body and it tells me that I need to eat meat. It's like, you're just listening to the demon that's inside of you that tells you that you want to eat meat. That's not your real soul. Your real soul is not a demon. And if you're a human, you're designed to consume fruit and herb-bearing seed. You've only been broken away from this by years of programming. And then people in the truther community want to say, oh no, veganism is a new world order agenda, as if Bill Gates doesn't own Pizza Hut and other non-vegan things and the vegan things. It's like, use your brain again, meat eaters. Use the brain, okay? Maybe if meat eaters started eating brains, they would become smarter. Just kidding. I'm being really facetious, but there are people that do black magic type rituals I've spoken before about how, if there's a fierce leader or something and they were very courageous, the group might want to eat their heart for that courage, that bravery, symbolically eating something of another's flesh as black magic to become what you eat. The same thing with consuming the flesh and blood of the king, right? The twisted communion that has been implemented in amongst these religious circles of consuming blood and eating flesh, and people don't realize that's cannibalism and vampirism. we shouldn't be doing this in church. How much of Christianity, which is Paulianity, is just blood sacrifice. It's all about blood, killing animals, being covered. I can't even tell you how many times growing up I heard, pray to be covered in innocent blood. Jesus, cover us in your blood. It's like, now that I'm not in that, I'm like, that is so satanic. And you don't really realize how evil it is while you're actually in those behaviors, which, the same kind of thing for non-vegans as well. Kyle says meatheads can't connect the dots. Exactly. David says they point to short-term happiness that the demons give, but long-term makes our souls sad. Yeah, so let's talk about that for a second, because people are like, oh, vegans are always so depressed and sad. Why would you want to be like them? Like, well, first of all, if it was just me in my own perfect little bubble, I am 900% happier now that I'm a vegan, because I know I'm not doing anything to hurt others and also to hurt myself in the long run. Like, if you are like me and you want to be a mom, then going out and enslaving other mothers and paying for cows to get raped pregnant and then have their babies stolen from them, you putting that energy out there, don't be surprised when your own babies get stolen from you. I'm talking directly to the mothers here, because you are responsible for putting other mothers through that kind of pain. It's disgusting. People want to say, oh, vegans are unhappy. It's another one of these things where meatheads, again, don't use their brains. We're unhappy because of what you are doing. Because you are not only hurting the animals, you're making this whole world hell, and you're making our species look like very bad monsters. When you say bacon as a justification for the evil things that vegans are trying to show you, do you think that your soul is happy with that? That's just so pitiful and disgusting behavior. You care more about eating pig butt than you do about the pig. Kind of telling about what you are, I guess, in the long run. Don't want to be insulting to pigs' butts, actually. So the non-vegans are standing there stabbing a cow, and a vegan is sitting there crying and saying, please stop. And the non-vegan's like, why are you crying? Why aren't you having fun? As they stab this cow repeatedly. Like, you don't want to be like those vegans. Come on over. We're having fun as we stab cows. This, like David pointed out, demonic happiness, this demonic high, right? We talk about adrenochrome and how this drug can be created from torturing little ones. Well, I mean, essentially you could, potentially get it from older too, but it's like they go after the children, more innocent and pure, more full of life force energy, all this kind of stuff. The same thing's happening in the animal industry. The cows know that their death is coming soon. When the truck arrives to load them on, they're getting very anxious. They know what's coming. They're hearing their sisters crying. They're, getting ready to go to slaughter, and then they get pushed out of the truck and in line for slaughter. They're hearing their sisters getting killed. All of that anxiety is building up, making all of their adrenaline is just flowing through them. And then that's what people are eating. And then they want to say, oh no, the Satanists consume adrenalized baby blood and flesh and all this stuff. It's like, look in the mirror. You do the same exact thing. Stop judging others for doing the same thing that you are doing. Hi Faith, how's it going? I'm glad to see you here. It's been a while. They said vote Queen for president, something like that. Kyle says, I'm not sure if you've seen Supernatural. I have seen some episodes, yes. But there's an episode about Leviathans, described as humans, create a burger that makes people stupid and lazy so that the Leviathans have an easy meal. That sounds really interesting. The book of, I'm just going off the book of Enoch, has one specific chapter. It might be, I think it might be one chapter about both, but it talks about Behemoth and Leviathan. It actually only implies that there is one of each, and that these monsters, have to do with the ends of the world. Well, not the ends of the world like the four corners ends, but like the end of the world, the end of an age, I guess I should say. Um, so that's an interesting thing for anybody who wants to know. The Book of Enoch has a lot of really cool things, especially the laws of the luminaries. I don't personally subscribe to any map or model of flat Earth. I don't trust anybody. I can't travel freely, and I really I don't want to. People are trying to make contacts with people all over in different continents to time the sun and moon to map it. Like, I honestly don't have desire to do that right now. So I don't really claim to have all of the answers. I don't know what exact path these follow. I don't know if there are portals like Enoch says, or any of these specific details. I do know that it's flat, though. I know that we're living in an enclosed realm. But I think that the laws of the luminaries are really interesting as well, and basically talking about how there's these essentially tracks that the sun and moon enter in through into our world and out of our world through these portals, and they have a certain paths that they follow throughout the year to create different seasons. And yeah, one of the things that's really interesting to me is the Norse mythology about how the sun and moon are being pulled across the sky in these chariots by horses, and the one that's pulling the moon is like salivating or something over what is at the end of the track. And that was one of their explanations for the morning dew, which a lot of flat earthers believe that the morning dew is caused by the sun or the moon, which is a wetting light, whereas the sun is a drying light, dries things out. And so that's a really interesting thing. I don't believe that the moon is an artificial creation. Like, a lot of people try to say that it's some like satellite, man-made, blah blah blah, the time before the moon. I think that the sun and moon were created together, like at the same time, just like the Bible says. I don't believe everything the Bible says, but the greater like to rule the day and the lesser like to rule the night. They are like complementary opposites. They're both these self-illuminating type discs, and like yin and yang in the sky. I love it. So yeah, it's another one of these things about a lot of truthers are talking about escaping duality and all of this stuff, but duality exists inside and outside of this realm. Like, outside of this realm, there are souls that tend towards the light and souls that tend towards the dark. There are male and female souls. So there are these opposites. The things that are inside of this realm are just a reflection, really, of what's outside. Our Creator, has male and female principles inside. Time is also inside. A lot of people want to say that time doesn't exist or is an illusion. It's the most bizarre thing to me when a flat earther says it, because most flat earthers acknowledge that the sun tells us what time it is and the moon tells us the day of the month, right? The month. So time literally is built into this realm that we are in. So saying that it's an illusion or a man-made construct is a lie. Obviously, our method of telling time, like the Gregorian calendar and even clocks and stuff, like how we divide it up, that's different, right? But it doesn't mean that time itself is a man-made concept or made up like that. David D says religion has been infiltrated with satanic blood cult. Yep, Jesus died so we can sin. Yeah, I'm sure that you've seen those various posts that say like, oh, well, if I don't sin, then Jesus died for nothing, or like, oh, well, all of our sins were so bad that he only had to spend like 2 days in hell. Like, woohoo, all of that sin for only 2 days in hell. Like, just different types of wrong theology outlook based on essentially rebellion from the church. I'm sure that you've met atheists that are that way because they are against the church itself or whatever denomination that they have had issues with. If they grew up in a Catholic church, then something happened, and now they're like wearing 666 shirts that say like unholy one on them or something. It's like, you're not actually like into Satanism. You're just trying to be a little bit of a rebel and ruffle people's feathers. Those aren't real Satanists. The ones that say that Satan isn't real, those are what I consider mainstream Satanists. Real Satanists know that the enemy of mankind is real. Just look around us. The whole globe Earth deception and how all the numbers, these huge numbers, just all perfectly lined together. There's so many 666s throughout the math. All of this stuff has the Jinn fingerprints all over it. Fingerprints from a Jinn. That's kind of funny, but they love numbers. They're the ones that are responsible for these great deceptions. Humans aren't. Humans aren't that smart. Humans would not have ever started the idea that celebrities and all of these rulers should be inverted. So anyone thinking that humans are in charge, it's like, we're on a human farm and humans are like the lowest of the low. Even the inverts, like, they're not even at the top of the power pyramid. They are the puppets of other entities, demonic in nature usually. But yes. David D says, everyone wants to complain about human babies being tortured and eaten for adrenochrome while eating the tortured babies of every other species. Exactly. These truthers don't realize it's like, you are consenting to this stuff by doing it yourself. People don't want to accept the fact that the majority of human sin in general is dietary based. Like, the average human, the most sin that they do in a day is like 3 meals a day of the flesh of innocents, snacks in between. Compare that to most people, even if they masturbate every day, it's like 1 time a day they're doing this. On the other hand, 6 times a day they're eating dead animals, right? So the majority of human sin is actually from our diets. And yeah, we've created this world over time by participating in these behaviors. Like, humans weren't always enslaved, but we have become more and more enslaved, and we deserve it. Like I said, if you drive and see these CAFOs, the slavery that humans are in right now is nothing compared to this disgusting, just horrible conditions with like just enormous amounts of waste, and them being in their own waste and having to like lay in it because it's so dirty and disgusting. Like, seriously, if you can't even look and see what happens at CAFOs and slaughterhouses, you have no business doing what you're doing about eating these animals. David D says, the Book of Enoch explains many truths about the monsters around us in the non-human bloodlines from the fallen. Yes. Moonlight and sunlight are opposites. Sunlight will warm, dry, and make you content. Moonlight will cool, wet, and make you a lunatic. Yes, exactly. Time exists in this world and before it. Before Sophia, there was time. Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing to even think about. Like, does it go along with the whole space idea that like outside of this world, like, time is different, right? I guess there's like all sorts of weird deceptions that go along with space, like the speed of light, the light years, just different confusing concepts, the law, the theory of relativity, all of these different concepts that smart people tell us, and they say it very confidently, and they have a group of other clowns that are right along there affirming what they say, and we as gullible little children are like, okay, yeah, these adults are much smarter than us, and they're giving us these huge numbers, and like, okay, we just take it, especially when you have to take a test and you have to pass the test or you get punished. It's just, an irritating situation that is going to be changed in the future. I do promote, I'm not against schooling in general. I obviously promote homeschooling over everything, but in the golden age, we should still have schools and universities, and where we can have professors that know what they're talking about, that have studied these things, that can teach kids. Because parents, if your kid wants to like study in-depth math and you might not like math, it's like it would help to have someone that you could have them learn from. But the whole system really needs to be changed, because it's like a cookie cutter education, and it's designed to deliberately dumb humans down. Like, the school isn't there to make your child as smart as they can be. The school is there to make your child a cog in the machine. Deliberately dumbs down, McDonald's burger flipper. Anything that your soul didn't come here to do. That's what they want you to focus on. So, yes. Atreus, how's it going? I also don't think the moon is a soul trap, but hypothetically, when you pass, would you go to the light if you see it? I'm not really sure how this like go to the light thing is. Like, I think that when you die, basically your soul kind of like, so separating from the body is kind of something that happens over time. It's not like an instantaneous, you're dead and then all of a sudden, you're detached from your physical body. It's a process that happens over time. So when animals, cows have souls inside, when they are killed, their flesh is still attached to that soul. So you're eating parts of their soul as well. And it's the same with human. So, let's just say your body was cut up into multiple pieces after you died. Your soul is going into multiple different places. But I didn't really mean to get off into that little fun tidbit of information. So basically, what I think happens is that you kind of wake up, if you will. You're not really asleep, but it's like you're conscious. You're still conscious, and you start to essentially, you wake up in the fourth dimension, the astral realm, which looks exactly like this, except for it's not actually physical. And then you gradually start to remember things, and yeah, I don't believe that it's like a deceptive experience to where something's trying to lure you into a false light, or anything like that. So yeah, I guess I don't really believe the mainstream narrative. Don't go into the light. I kind of like, yeah. I also kind of think that is almost a demonization of the mother matter in general. People that think that this world is a trap, that basically the further you go away from the yellow submarine that we're in, this basically we're in this yellow submarine, and outside there are watchers, a world of worms, if you will. There are allegations that the soul's natural shape is kind of like a worm. So yes, outside of this world is that, and like the further away that you get from this world, this yellow submarine, they say that the darker it gets. And so, going into the light, a lot of them have this mixed, confusing, not really confusing, complex theology where things mean more than one thing. And they do that a lot with us in general in this reality where they have truth in plain sight, and they, the golden arches of McDonald's, and how the golden arches of this world that we're in, that we're under the golden arches of the firmament. Sorry if that was a little bit not the smoothest train of thought there. but double meanings. And a lot of people want to say that this world itself is a trap, and that we shouldn't come back to it. I personally believe that this world was created as experience that, you know, I believe that we are gods and goddesses. Our souls are divine, and basically, we were in this cosmic ocean and just hanging out and doing what gods and goddesses do. And this reality basically gives our soul something to focus on, to entertain us, to give us something to continue existing for. Because without something to exist for, it's like souls can also go out of existence because they don't have a purpose to exist. Just like humans, if you don't have like a purpose to exist, if you don't have that kind of direction in your life, things can get really depressing. And yeah, before I woke up, I was at the same place. It's like, why am I here? Like, you know, not everyone's raised the same way, but I was, raised to, you get a job, you work, blah, 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 and then you die, right? Like, having this job is so important. And happiness is also connected to physical, not physical success, but like material success, having things, not struggling to make ends meet, all of this stuff. And, before I woke up and actually had purpose in my life, I was extremely depressed. It's like so many humans have to be in that position as well, because they're not doing what their soul came here to do. And, even when you are doing what your soul came here to do, it can be a battle. It can be depressing. It can have its ups and downs, and it can be really hard. Like, being in Mount Shasta is what my soul came here to do, and it definitely has a lot of fun moments, but there are also, on the flip side, a lot of hard things that I have to deal with, a lot of battles that I have to fight. Like, staying here is a fight. They want to make it really hard for humans to exist in this space, with their ridiculous laws. All of these there's new laws that are out that, if you don't support your child's gender confusion, then, maybe you and your husband are going through a divorce, and whatever parent affirms the confusion for the child is the one that gets to have the child. So I would definitely encourage you to make sure that you even talk about these things way before getting married. It's one reason that I am still single. Like, I want to have more things figured out, but I have very specific. I'm not going to be compromising on veganism. I'm not going to be compromising on anything. Like, my children are going to be homeschooled. They're going to be raised with the methods that I think is right, and I'm not going to compromise. Like, I'm going to wait for a guy that agrees. It's not that he's just going along with it because he wants to be with me. I want someone that actually agrees that this is fundamentally the right thing to do. Like, I'm not going to be arguing over, like I said, veganism, schooling, circumcision, vaccinations, like any of these things. No, I'm not having it. So yeah, there's a very big list of things that I will not compromise, because the children are the most important, and a lot of new family traditions are going to start with me. So I'm really excited about that. And yeah. Atreya says, "Oh, hello, good evening. My apologies." And I need to apologize. It's nice to see you here. It's been a while. David says, "Invert agenda is anti-human at its basis." Yes. Satan's inverts are being used at every level to deceive humans. And on that note, like, if someone is lying to you about their gender, about what they are at a fundamental level, you cannot trust them on any other topic. There are so many controlled opposition heroes that are being sent out. Like, how many times have you heard, "Oh, if you don't support Donald Trump, then you're hopeless"? It's like, my hope was never in an invert to begin with. If I'm going to put hope in a man, he's going to have a penis. Like, Just saying. Not only Trump, but like JFK Jr., Andrew Tate, like the list of heroes, Amanda Vollmer, these anti-jab, anti-virus people. You know, they're presented to us as these great heroes for truth. It's like my first thing when I come across anyone, no matter how much truth they speak, is are they an invert or not? That's my number one question. I don't care what you have to say if you are an invert. Now, inverts do run our world, and basically, getting to a golden age, we have to deal with them. So we can either, you know, gather our guns. I have to be careful about to incite violence, not get in trouble. You know, you can either try to purge them when they control everything, or basically try to work with them. And I am not willing to compromise. And like, I have a very strict, the golden age has to be a certain way. Like, the innocents have to be protected. There's not going to be compromising on these things. But if inverts are willing to stop participating in evil and go vegan and stop preying on children, it's like they are souls that can purify as well, just like humans. Humans are not perfect. Humans might not be, you know, raping human children, but they're raping other children. So, you know, you can't point at these inverts and basically damn them for their past behaviors when we have all done evil in the past. What matters is if we can stop doing evil now and make a better future going forward, because that's really what it's all about. If you were to basically go and purge all of these souls that are evil, well, first of all, a lot of those evil souls are going to be humans, your fellow brothers and sisters. How many of you have brothers and sisters that aren't vegan? So they would be getting taken out too. What we need to do is encourage purification and for souls to turn from sin and, you know, embrace doing what is right. And then we can go into a golden age, you know, that doesn't start with a bloodbath. That would be my preference. David says, you wake as a spirit with the exact same human form you had at death, and as you wake, your soul can change to any form you will. Yes, there's an interesting idea, I guess, that I kind of had one time, is that like your soul can come into physical reality and take a shape. Like, let's say that dragons were just created hot off the press. It's like potentially, you know, your soul had not ever taken that form before, but then you come into this physical existence, so your soul takes that form, and then, you know, on the other side, now you can freely take that form because you've been it before in this reality. So it's kind of like the way that I generally think, like your soul can take a cow form after you've been a cow. So there's a lot of different interesting things, but there's, like I was saying before, the allegation that the original form of the soul is like a snake, like Nakash type form, but some others say that the ultimate form, like maybe when, you know, it grows and the ultimate thing that it can become, like, you know, how even humans, the sperm and the egg coming together. So think about the egg being the mother, this physical reality, and the sperm being your soul. And you come into the egg, and you don't, like, we haven't stayed as snakes. We are humans now. So it's kind of the same, like as above, so below type reflection of the outer world and the inner world, which I think is really, really cool. So, see, Breezy, how's it going? Speaking of lights, have you ever heard of a star in the jar? I have not. What is this? Star in the jar. I wanted to briefly talk about the Titanic submarine thing that's going on. Star in the jar. I have not. Are you talking about the book, the children's book? Um, I'll have to look further into that to see what you're talking about because I have not heard it before. Um, David says our souls consented to be in this world in these physical bodies. I agree. Um, yeah, I agree that we play a game of consent, that we're not forced to come into this world. But that being said, there are some of us that feel obligated to come back. I feel that if my soul doesn't come back and do this exact thing that I'm doing now, that the world will continue to get darker, and eventually the mother, the soul that's powering this whole world, will stop being this world, because she, any soul can only get so dark before it just doesn't want to exist. Um, I should say that there are some souls that can get extremely dark and still come back from it. Like they embrace the darkness, and they really should be pitied. It's not like an accomplishment. It's not something that we should pat them on the back and congratulate them for. But anyways, the mother, she's different. She doesn't want to be this dark, abusive clown show, this hell. When people were saying, "Oh, Earth is hell," well, it's only this way because we have allowed it to be this way. You non-vegans, look at yourselves in the mirror and understand that you are the reason that this world is hell. You shouldn't get to frolic around and enjoy a peaceful Garden of Eden with no worries if you go out into the woods and kill deer. If you rape pregnant cows and steal their milk, like, you deserve even worse than your 9 to 5. Anyways, Atreus88 says, always love your takes on these topics. Thank you. I definitely like to be able to chat with you guys and talk about these interesting topics. It's so cool to be in this time period, even though it's so dark, all of the evil that's going on in our world. At least we can connect with people and find other candles. I imagine us as like little candles in a world full of darkness, just trying to light up the place, David D says, no purpose, no hope. Yes, and that can definitely drive people to do very, very dark things. Hey, Michael, Michael, the richer you get, life expectancy is lower. Interesting. I haven't looked into the life expectancy of them, but yeah. I guess there would kind of be two different things, because the ultra rich are inverts who have a high suicide rate. So no amount of money can make you happy when you are trying to be something that you're not, especially when humans wake up and realize what you are, and they stop like putting you on a pedestal and start laughing at you and calling you a clown and talking about how hideous you are, and all like pointing out biomarkers that are just, that they're not proud of. David says Shasta is the primary battleground. Exactly. And that is exactly why I'm here. So what says, hello, Anana. Hi, how are you? David says that children are our future. Yes. Atreya says, also, I love how healthy your hair looks even without using shampoo. Thank you. I kind of miss sometimes how like soft and silky it used to be, but I realized that using like pig fat and even egg type products, it's not worth it. It's disgusting. I don't want to be a joke. I don't want to be laughed out by the spiritual world. So as many things that I can do to get away from that as possible, that's where I'm going, and that's where I encourage you to go as well. So yeah, it's really frustrating that I get attacked and falsely accused of, being for the system when I am constantly speaking out against it and trying to tell you to stop being clowns. Their primary people in the system are inverts, and I constantly speak out against them and say, no matter what they say, don't trust them. my thumbnail, my female flaring hip. I'm constantly showing them off for this purpose. Like, anyways. So it says, you saying Andrew Tate is an invert. I don't know if you ever talked about them. Yes, Andrew Tate is an invert. Let me see if I can pull up a picture really quick. David, he says you have to deal with them one way or another. Exactly. It's very irritating. I'm not sure if you can see this, but I've posted the picture online, but they have a picture just like Trump with these very tight shorts, and there's nothing in there. It's like they're mocking humans deliberately. And then this person is just like, says anti-female things. And, you know, I've actually really don't listen to what they say. I can't stand that. So, yeah. But I've heard that they have a lot of anti-female things. They're trying to essentially help to fuel the war between the sexes, if you will. They want us humans fighting over everything, and they are trying to, like, they're trying to make males the worst versions of themselves possible, and they're trying to make females the worst version of ourselves possible. So it's like the men are, they're under this programming to, you know, look at porn and have unchecked sexual drives and eat meat and all this other stuff. And on the other hand, they have like the feminist movement and girls trying to be boys and like murdering their babies. And so it's like trying to make all of us the worst versions of ourselves possible and fuel hatred between us so that they can laugh at us, so that they have all the unhappy girls with girls over here and all of the boys with boys over here, and the demons can have as much fun as possible. Everything away from the way God intended it. These alternative lifestyles are being shoved down our throats, and they not only come from abuse, like it's not, you know, whether it's sexual abuse, like little boys being sodomized as children, and then they are confused into thinking that they like boys. Chemical abuse, the mercury, that, you know, mercury can turn male birds gay, atrazine, you know, having male frogs lay eggs, society, and all of these other types of things. And then, you know, also for girls, being abused by guys. I'm not really sure how much of that happens with the guy type thing, because there are differences between the sexes fundamentally, and different ways that these behaviors happen to different people. And, you know, you have people that have certain abuses happen as children and then they don't end up like this way. So it's not like a guarantee for anything, but there are a lot of agendas that are trying to push humans into these unnatural lifestyles so that we will be unhappy, so that, you know, our creator is ashamed, to help with population control, to cause all sorts of corrupting clownery. All sorts of corrupting clownery. Yeah. So, yes. Sonoluminescence, Kyle says. We're talking about okay. David, he says, I'm almost out of power. I'll have to catch you next week. Yeah, I was actually not planning on staying on for very long. I actually have some things that I need to do today to take care of business. So Faith says, hey, Queen, I work in a health herbal store that is predominantly vegan. The only thing is that the company sells honey and fish oil. Okay, we have alternatives like agave and vegan omega. That's really cool that you are in a primarily vegan place. Like, I would really not, I would hate that, to be in a non-vegan place. Faye says, I always point customers to the vegan options. I don't even bother asking them if they are or not. That's funny. Am I still wreaking bad karma on myself and the world? Well, what happened? Okay. Okay. Well, it does sound like you are doing your best to try to point people into the vegan options, and for me, what you're doing is a lot better than if someone was actually serving the flesh. Like if you were a waitress serving actual flesh. Um, but at the same time, like the spiritual world does see, your situation. They know that you need to make ends meet, and they see that you're trying to do what you can to avoid animal suffering, to steer people into the direction of the vegan products, and I think that's what matters. So yeah, it's really hard in this world to get away. Like I don't even know where. Honestly, the only place that really comes to mind is like a dispensary, and even then they have like non-vegan chocolates and stuff. So I'm like, where even could I get a job if I wanted to? I have no idea. So thankfully I have a handful of friends that own their own businesses, and I'm able to do different jobs for them to um, to make ends meet, and I'm working on my own business endeavors, so I'm pretty excited about that. um, Faye said there was a lady who wanted to switch to her vitamins to a different one, but those are vegetarian. But I gave her the eating vitamins without her knowing, and she would be doing better off for herself anyways. Yeah. If I say it's vegan, many people will reject it. That's so sad. Non-vegans aren't in a lifestyle that abstains from something. Yeah. Faith, you shouldn't feel bad for doing it. I don't feel bad for. Yeah. Hey Noah, how's it going? Faye says exactly. I never point anyone to something that isn't vegan, even when they ask me for omega-3. I point them to the vegan one, and they never know. They just happily purchase it. Isn't that kind of funny? It's like so crazy the mentality that they have that's like anti-vegan. It's like you could have the same product and you put non-vegan on it, and they're like, no, we don't want it anymore. It's like it's the same thing that you were just eating 2 seconds ago. It just has a different label on it. Like, yeah. Um, All right. I actually do have some other things that I need to get done today. Um, Sea Breezy says, because I realize that how demonic the music industry is. Oh, sorry. I see there's a conversation here going on. Okay. I see. All right. Atreya says, you own your business. How can we invest in Inanna stocks? I am potentially looking for investors, but I'm looking for serious investors. And you could email me at queeninannasnow@hotmail.com if you're interested in that. But yeah, I have a lot of plans for the future, and I'm super excited about it. And yeah, so I can't really say too much about things without giving things away at this point. So I need to walk on pins and needles until I have some more, solid stuff that I can say. So, anyways, I am going to get off of here, like I said, but I will catch up with you next week. And I really, really appreciate these live chats and getting to talk with you guys. So I really hope that you will join me next week. And if you have any other questions or anything that you want me to address on live stream, then hit me up. All right, guys, have a wonderful week. May God and the goddess bless you.